Shall I start, sir?
Okay, madam. Live started.
Okay, good morning, everybody. First, as earlier, let me thank from the bottom of my heart all the DUSers and all the officials who are there behind these online classes and giving us an opportunity to meet you all in this YouTube platform and all the technical team. I want to thank really. Thank you so much, sir. And all the teachers who are there over in front of your mobiles and all your laptops. And good morning, children who are eagerly waiting for our next session. I hope you have all remembered all those things what have happened. Now, let me share my screen without any delay. Okay, children, I'm Ramadevi, School Assistant English, ZPHS Ramapuram, Melacheru Mandal, and Suryapet District. Okay, now this is our today's session is the Storeyed House Part 2. Have you remembered what happened earlier in our? Yeah, this is the house Bayaji invited all the guests, and among them, as special guests, as chief guests, some of the village heads were there. Okay, this is the way the house looks. Bayaji's house looks now. For the home tour, Bayaji invited all the village heads. Who were there in the village heads? Of course, you can see that in your textbook. Okay, don't forget those names. And now, he has started the home tour just to show the home. Otherwise, it will be a very crime. Okay, Bayaji invited all the village heads. Okay, led them to the stairs in the kitchen. Where did he build the stairs, children? Yes, unlike the normal storied house having steps from outside, here for Bayaji's house, steps were there from the kitchen. The two wooden stairs. Okay, what is the plan behind this? You already know. Bayaji wanted to avoid the anger and jealous of the village heads. He just simply built the wooden steps from the kitchen. The village heads could smell the freshness in the newly painted house. You know, children, whenever you visit a housewarming ceremony, the first thing we can assume that there will be a very fresh smell of painted walls, newly painted walls, and some flowers and decorations, right? So this was the thing which was very much unable to digest for the village heads. Okay, the room on the upstairs had a wall that was adorned with the photo frames of great souls such as, who are there? Yes, Buddha and Mahatma Gandhi, Jyotiba Phule, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Why do you think that Bayaji hung all these pictures, only these pictures to his walls? Just to decorate? As they look very handsome? No, he revered them as his gods, as they all worked very hard for the upliftment and enhancement of the lives of Dalit people. Now, children, how did Bayaji treat his guests? All the near and dear came. Of course, he treated some of his relatives in one way and others in another way. Especially on one hand, they are village heads. On the other, they are near and dear. If you don't look after your near and dear, it's not a problem. But if you do not welcome or receive the elders, especially village heads, who are with anger and jealous, it will be a very big sin, very big crime. So his all attention was there to look after these village heads. He invited them to the first floor and he spread a rough woolen carpet and affectionately invited all the village head and other elders. Okay, the heads were, how was the situation of those elders? Yes, they were rather uncomfortable. They are not at all feeling comfortable or happy with these arrangements because Bayaji built a new house and it is also looking a very grandiose manner and it's splendid, as we told, it was elegant. So all these are the things that were making them uncomfortable to sit. And one more reason for that is Bayaji belonged to a lower caste, so that was the thing. Actually, they never visited such type of housewarming ceremonies in Dalit families. But here, what led them to visit this? They wanted to see how Bayaji built the house. There was lots of curiosity, and which is met with jealous and anger. They looked at each other and felt that Bayaji got a swollen head and hence needs proper handling. That is what the intention behind the visiting children. They looked at each other with a very jealous manner, green in eyes, and he got a swollen head. Bayaji got a swollen head. That is what their intention. Swollen means swelling or with pride, swelling with, and the two with false prestige, not with a very good prestige. They were thinking in that way. With false prestige, he built this type of storied house. That is what the thing that made them uncomfortable, and he needs a proper handling. What's the proper handling? Yes, he must receive one proper teaching lesson. We must teach him a lesson. Otherwise, all the Dalit people start building this type of houses. So, on the other side, Bayaji fed his guests, all the near and dear people, very well, and the devotional songs also began when they sat in the upper floor. And children, to the surprise, even for all of us, a little while after the bhajan has started, the house was on fire. You know, children, have you observed here? This is the new house just minutes before we saw this one. Now this is on fire. Bayaji was frantic and cried, "My house, my storied house, it's on fire. My enemy has taken revenge." Anyway, he came to know that something went wrong, and that also with the village heads. He already smelt that one, and he pulled all the photographs from the walls and tumbled down the staircase. What made him pull the photographs first? He has to go for his life first, isn't it? He has to run first. But what did he do? He pulled down, he collected the photographs from the walls first, and then he tumbled them down to the staircase. What made him do so, children? Can you say? Yes, he revered the honor, the devotion, the adoration towards the pictures or the people in the pictures was there. So even his life, even more than his life, he revered them, he adored them, children. That is what the thing happened. Now, how about the family? What might be the things happening inside them? Yes, the family was aghast. You know what is aghast? This with a deep sorrow and agony that were pinching them. With that, Bayaji was in fire. He was no more. And his children brought him out. They thought that Bayaji was no more because after this delay, collecting the pictures and tumbling them down from the first floor, there was some delay. So from all sides, fire caught the house, and he was extremely injured and was in his last moments. Almost 90% of his body was succumbed to that fire. His sons approached him with a great sorrow and asked their father's last wish. Bayaji said, "Sons, I want you to build a storied house and I have no other wishes." So these are the last words of Bayaji, though he is lying on his deathbed. He collapsed like his storied house after these words. All the family members cried their hearts out. You know, children, hearts out. This is also one of the phrasal verbs which we are going to discuss in our later session. Hearts out. That doesn't mean that they are taking their hearts out literally, but They are crying for their heart's content, inconsolable and uncontrollable grief. So that is what crying the hearts out. After Bayaji's demise, what do you mean by demise? Passed away. After that, all the guests returned from Bayaji's funeral with sullen faces and sat under the pandal. After the demise, really, how shocking it was. You know, they came to attend the function of a very auspicious function, that is housewarming ceremony, but they have to attend this funeral session. And later, doing all those things, customary things, they came to the house and they sat under the pandal in a very sullen mood, very sad mood. Bayaji's elder son started digging with a pickaxe while younger one helped. You know, on the contrary, all of a sudden, to their utter astonishment, all the relatives were shocked. What was the thing happening in front of their eyes? Bayaji's elder son started digging with a pickaxe. You know, children, pickaxe, the digging material, and younger ones were helping to collect the earth from those things. So, what were they doing actually? The astonished guests also asked them what they were doing at that morning time. You know, children, is it morning or morning? Yes, there is a subtle difference. Mourning means sad time they have undergone. You know, we also having the same custom even in these days. If we lose any near and dear, if they pass away, then we follow some 10 to 11 days of mourning. We do not do any auspicious things or any rituals at home, any pujas. That means rituals means we also do not follow any such sort of things. We are away from the society. Why? Because of in the fond memory of those loved ones. Okay, Bayaji's sons also were in that grief moments, but what were they doing now? Finally, that is what the thing they were astonished, all the guests were. Now, the sons answered, see here, children, what are they doing? All the sons and the daughter is also there sitting on the earth, on the floor. What is she doing? What are they doing? Yes, children, they are digging some trenches again. Already we have gone through that word. What is that? Trenches. What are trenches? Trenches are nothing but deep holes in the ground to stand some pillars like structure. Have you seen here, children? Yeah, these are pillars. Before a construction is started, we do this one. Okay, foundation trenches, they were digging. And they answered firmly. Firmly means in a very dedicated and already they decided to do what they are doing, they know. So they answered very strongly, our father's soul cannot rest in peace unless we do this. Unless we do this, our father's soul cannot rest in peace. These are the words. Even without raising their heads towards the guests, they answered this firmly. We are starting a house, not with just a concealed first floor, but a two-storied house. This is what the answer given by Bayaji's sons and daughters. Okay, children, what was their wish? Yes, not to build a simple house or a customary house side by side portions, but according to to their father's wish, they want to build a house, and that too not with a concealed first floor. Concealed means closed. Okay, so it's elevated first floor and second floor we are going to build. That is what the answer given by the sons and daughters of Bayaji. Now, children, until now we finished the gist of the lesson. Now here we go for the reading part, which is very important to our better understanding, right? Now, actually, if you are there in front of me, if it is my real class, I'll be asking you to read in groups and individual reading. Everything will go on in that way. But here I have no other option. I mean, what I mean to say is I must read, right? Kondiba Patil was soon there. With him was the thug Bhujaba and 4 or 5 seasoned rascals like Vitoba Gaukute and Parasu Matanda. These people felt uneasy at the sight of the brand new house, the impressive pandal, and the crowd of smiling faces. Their eyes roved all over the place. Bayaji led them up the stairs in the kitchen. The first floor looked like a drawing room. The walls were radiant with blue oil paint. The fresh color gave out a pleasant smell. Framed pictures of great men like Lord Buddha, Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, Karmveer Bahurao Patil, Mahatma and Jyotiba Phule and others hung on the walls. The loft-like first floor was filled with the pious and holy ambience. Bayaji spread a rough woolen carpet for Patil and the other high caste people. Patil sat quietly on that. His companions, rather uncomfortable, took their positions around him. Bayaji offered them the customary betel leaves. Patil accepted the leaves but immediately gave it back to Bayaji with the remark, "Yes, it's all very nice." And just saying those simple words, just unconnected words, he simply returned those betel leaves to Bayaji. Bayaji was very nervous, you can see them on the picture. He was thinking until then, Bayaji was thinking that, okay, all the anger and jealousy is removed. They came now, they became friends with me. That is what the thought that is lingering in the mind of Bayaji. But against to that, here came all the words like shot, some bullets. But Bayaji was very nervous and asked them like this, "But why do you accept the betel leaves? Why don't you accept the betel leaves? You can take them home at least for my satisfaction." That is what the things Bayaji asked very nervously. And then Bhujaba smiled artificially, not to his heart's content. He artificially smiled, does not not at all a natural smile, and said, "It's enough that your offering is honored. Is it also necessary to eat it? We'll make a move now." So that is what the thing he told very angrily. Anyway, Bayaji has to accept that one. With this, Kuntiba Patil, Bhojaba and his companions rose to leave. As they came down, Bhojaba felt as if he were tumbling down the stairs. They eyed one another as if to say, "This untouchable worm has got a swollen head. He needs proper handling." Okay, these are the things going on in the minds of these village heads. On the other hand, Bayaji was very nervous by seeing the expressions of and words of these people. And now, anyway, Bayaji had to feed all those guests who were invited for the function and fed all his guests with meal of shira and puris along with betel nuts, items of gossip rolled over their tongues. Anyway, they were talking indistinctly. And then what happened, children? The session of social devotional songs began. Among the bhajans, very beautiful bhajans were going on. Now here, when that all program gathered momentum, that means it was advanced anyway, a bit forward. Then the thing, it was 2 o'clock in the morning. Then the things took on another shape. Bayaji was strutting about in the pandal, strutting, children walking proudly. When you do a very good thing, how do you do? How do you behave? You can raise your head and walk so proudly. Proud means it's not fall prestige, as I told you before. It's with happiness. Okay, strutting about in the pandal, he sat down by a guest now and then to inquire after his welfare. Small children, unable to resist sleep, had dropped off like bundles of rags. Here, children, all the situation were there in the house pandal. Everyone is very happy and having their meal and listening to those bhajans, and all the children were playing. Then some people, some children are there who were ready irresistible of sleeping, then they dropped off like bundles of rags. This is one beautiful expression, children, to compare that one using it as a simile, dropped off like bundles of rags. What do you mean by rags? the cloths which are useless, which we do not wear them, which are unable to wear, but they are just pieces of cloth. Okay, women sat in the front veranda. Bayaji's children were busy preparing tea for a second round. Kalekar Bapu Master, powerful voice rose up. Various songs rent the air, filling it with joy. And then the undreamt of incident took place. You know, children, everyone was there in their busy, and some children are dropped off like bundles of rags. You know, when you tie them into bundles, if you throw them, they go on rolling, right? In that way, some children are irresistible of sleeping. They go on doing so. And now then the undreamt of incident happened. Undreamt means even it is not, they cannot dream it, have it in their dreams. Undreamt of unexpected incident happened. What was that? Yes, already we have seen children. Here we can see Bayaji the women folk swiftly and began to pull out the women like a herd of cattle. Here, one more expression, children. It had suddenly flared up. Flared up, okay. It caught in fire. Of course, we do not know the exact reason behind that fire accident and all. But here, the guest stood up swiftly and began to pull out the women. The women are there working in the kitchen. They do not know, not knowing what is happening around them. They sat like that and simply chatting, but these men, they dragged him like a herd of cattle. Herd of cattle. This is the compound noun, children. Herd. What do you mean by that? Herd of cattle. Cattle means buffaloes or sheep. So that we call, if a group of sheep are there, we can call it a herd. Buffaloes are there. If a group, then we call it. They dragged them without their knowing. They have to ask them. If they invite them, it may take some time, right? If they call them, they may take some time to understand. But here, they dragged them, all the women, like a herd of cattle. Now Bayaji was frantic. Frantic means mad with anger or mad with fear. Okay, he ran around crying, my storied house, it's on fire. My enemy has taken revenge on me. He entered the roaring flames, crying, my house, my house. He climbed up, pulled the pictures of Buddha and Baba Saheb Ambedkar from the walls and hurled them down. Hurled means, yeah, throwing them. They came tumbling. And down the flames. Okay, he also crumbled down the flames. People pulled up water from a nearby well to put out the dreadful fire, but it could not be easily contained because it was caught fire from all sides. So it was very hard to put up the fire. Bayaji, jump down, jump quickly. So these are the shoutings of the people, but no use of already 90% of Bayaji's body got fired. Now, children, that the staircase had collapsed, no one could go up. Scorched in the flames, Bayaji ran around like a trapped creature. See, again here, one more simile. Trapped like, ran around like a trapped creature. What do you mean by trapped? If you go for fishing with the net, what do? After throwing that net, you will get some fishes inside the net. Then how will be the fishes doing? Yes, they will try for their life, to save their life. They move frantically. That is what it got trapped. Like that, the Bayaji was also trapped in the fire, and trapped like creature. He was also behaving, going here, going there to put up the fire, howling all the time, my house, oh, my house. He's not at all even crying for his own life. He is yelling for my house, my house. That is what his strong wish. And then the upper story itself came down with a crash, and along with it, Bayaji. With a resounding thud, people pulled him out. Bayaji was burnt all over. So 90%, as we told, 90% of his body was burnt, unfortunately. He was still wailing, "My house, my house." Bayaji's children encircled him and cried their hearts out. Again, here you can see the expression hearts out. And the guests were all busy putting out the fire. All Bayaji's hopes had been reduced to ashes. What was the use of putting out the fire now? Is there any use? After all this happenings, is there any use of putting that fire, trying to put up the fire? No. Bayaji was badly burnt and he was in great agony, great pain, children. He asked for water all the time. All his eyes began to roll in the head. His eldest son moved closer, gulped down the sorrow that was surging in his throat, and asked, "Nana, what's your last wish?" So this is what the question. Already they decided, family members decided that we cannot save the life of our father. Anyway, they went forward and asked, "Nana, what's your last wish?" "Sons, I want you to build a storied house. I've no other wish." That is what the fun decision. Even lying in the deathbed, he did not forget about the storied house. Immediately he asked the same, and saying these words, these were the last words of Bayaji. With these words, his head collapsed like the storied house. Children, see the simile, like the storied house, how it collapsed. Like that, Bayaji also collapsed. Bayaji was quiet, and the fire too had calmed down now. Anyway, everything is calm now. What was there left over? That is sorrow, agony, distress, everything. Bayaji's mother wept bitterly. She was mad with grief. Bayaji's wife was sobbing her heart out, crying repeatedly, "Who has done this evil to us? Let the house burn to cinders. Save my husband first." So she is asking, claiming the life of her husband. Cinders into ashes. The house already burnt into cinders, but I need to save my husband. I need my husband's life. Nothing else in the earth is as important as my husband's life. That is what the yelling behind her agony. And the entire family was shattered by the calamity. The spirits of all the men were dampened like a cooking fire on which water has been poured. Dampened, it got wet. Like all the hopes, all the enthusiasm was killed down immediately after these happenings. In the morning, the village officers and the witnesses visited the place to record the facts of the accident. Okay, that is what the thing happens. Even now, after the bad things happen, then the police enter the spot. In the same way, after all these things, in the morning, all the officials came to record what had happened. Then the conclusion was in this way: Bayaji's death was a result of an accident due to a Petromax flare up. This was the conclusion, children. The house was burning before the housewarming ceremony was over, and Bayaji was in ashes in the cemetery instead of enjoying the comforts of a retired life. So this is what the pathetic incident, pathetic conclusion, children. Even before the housewarming ceremony is over, his body was there in the fire, in the pyre. Okay. What do you mean by fire and cemetery? Both these words are related to death. Okay. Now, after the funeral, yeah, once the tradition is over, burning his body, the tradition is over, that is called funeral. After this is over, people returned hanging their heads. All of them were pained at heart to think that, having come to celebrate, they had the misfortune to attend the funeral of the host. That is what the thing they were paining. Before the housewarming ceremony, they attended the housewarming ceremony, but they had to attend the funeral of the host. Now, children, please come out from that. To make your hearts light, I want to ask you some questions here. Okay, come out of that instant first. Now, Bayaji was in ashes in the cemetery. What does the word cemetery mean? Yes, you have to write it in your notebooks, children, or otherwise I gave my number. Please discuss all those things with me. Whatever the grammatical item you get any doubt, please contact me. I am very happy, eagerly looking forward for that. And what is symmetry? Yes, I already told you where the bodies, dead bodies are kept. That is symmetry. The sons brought a basket, a spade, and a pickaxe. What do you think they did so? Yes, children. Why did you do so? Yes, they wanted to build a new house according to the last wish of their father. So, to dig the trenches, they brought all the things. They had the misfortune. The word misfortune refers to, yes, misfortune is nothing but opposite of fortune, as it suggests. Fortune means luck, misfortune is unluck. What was the conclusion of the village officers and witnesses about the accident? What was the conclusion of them? Yes, it is just, it happened due to a Petromax flare up. That is what the conclusion. The accident was due to a Petromax flare up. Do you agree with this statement? Support your answer. Children, here is your time to give another conclusion for this story. Do you like this tragic note, tragic ending of the story? If maybe all those people, after that, they might have become friends to Bayaji, and the housewarming ceremony went off very well, and all the guests and everyone is very happy. Maybe the happy ending. Bayaji brought some changes in the society. It may be the happy ending, children. In that way, you also have the freedom to give your own conclusion to the story. Of course, not in your exam. If you are asked this question in your exam, you can be answering in this way. Give your own conclusion. It is an open-ended story, an open-ended question. The accident was due to Petromax flare up. Do you agree? What is the actual reason behind all this unto-do incident? What was that? If you think it is due to the village heads, if you think that is just an accident as women are in the kitchen and preparing some tea and all on the stove or mud oven, then if it is the reason, you can say your own answer. Okay, no criteria for that as it is an open-ended one. Now, all were sitting in a sullen mood in the pandal when Bayaji's son came out with 3 or 4 baskets, a spade, a pickaxe, and a hoe. He outlined a square with the pickaxe and began to dig. The eldest son was digging. The second one was gathering the earth from his spade, and the others were lifting it away in the baskets. The guests asked in amazement, "Children, you are in mountain. What is this you are doing now?" Then they said firmly, they answered, "Our father's soul cannot rest in peace unless we do this. As this is the last wish of my father, we must fulfill that." But what is it that you are doing? Again, there's a confusion in the minds of these relatives. What are you doing? Okay, your father's last wish, we didn't listen to that wish. What's that finally? "We are starting on a house, not one with a concealed first floor, but a regular 2-storied house," replied the eldest son of Bayaji. And the 6 brothers resumed with a determination the work of digging the foundation of a 2-storied house. Okay, children, this is what the story of the part 2 of Storeyed House. And this is what the tragic ending, tragic conclusion given by Vaman Govind Howell. Now, children, it's your time to find out whether these things are happening even now around us, even now in this modern society. Then, how do you know? What will you do to know all these things, children? First, let me tell you, here is your project work. You have to visit your grandparents. If they're all living with you, it's okay. You're very fortunate enough having a giant family. Now you have to ask them how were those days? How did they spend their childhood? Did they witness any such incidents, or did they undergo any such incidents? Like Bayaji have undergone all these things. Did they ever at least witness all these things? You have to know and write and show it as your project work, children. I hope you will be doing, you are very much interested to do the things just 50 years ago. If you go to your grandparents, or if you do not have grandparents, don't sit, ma'am, I do not have my grandparents. Don't do like that. You go to the people who are having the same age as your grandparents. Okay, go to your neighbor's place, but keep it in mind that you have to, uh, I mean, follow all the security measures of this corona pandemic, right? Now, children, I want to show you some pictures. What are they? This is the spade. I already told you, you do not know the instruments of this, but you are very familiar in your houses, but we are calling them in our mother tongue. Now, this is the spade, this is the hoe, and this is a pickaxe, which is very helpful to dig the ground. Okay, in construction site also, we use them. Now, children, here I want to give some glossary. As far as I'm concerned, I may not exceed this given time. Now, let me go fast. Here, seasoned. What is seasoned? Experienced in terms of a profession or a hobby. Seasoned means very well experienced. Here, children, in our lesson, it is connected that seasoned rascals, 4 seasoned rascals. So they are not at all rascals in this movement, but in every situation, they are rascals and rascals. So that is what the seasoned, okay, profession by experience. Okay. Now, impressive. What is impressive? It's very appealing or making a positive impression. When we see some beautiful pictures, we can say it's very impressive, very appealing to our mind. So that is what impressive. Bayaji's new house is very impressive. Now, pious. What do you mean by pious? Already we come across all these words, but just to brush up, I'm adding them again. Now, dutiful, reverent, God-fearing. God-fearing means obeying to elders and God. So that is called pious in nature. Okay, she's a very pious woman. Now, ambience. What do you mean by ambience? Particular atmosphere of an environment or surrounding influence. The environment outside. Okay, that is ambience. The ambience is very nice. When the function is going on in our school ambience is really great. Now, loft-like, a floor or a room placed above another. Loft-like, it's very special, great in manner. Okay, children, loft, it's very lofty, looking so lofty. The car looks very lofty. So, cinders, partially or mostly burnt material. Already told you, children, that is ashes. Partially burnt or totally burnt material, that is cinders. What do you call that one? Ash, budida. Now, companions. Who are the companions? A friend, acquaintance, or a partner. Friend, companions. Okay. Now, customary. In accordance with custom or common usage. Customary means traditionally what we follow. When Diwali is there, what we do. When Batukama festival is there, how do we follow? So that is a custom. Now, tumbling, a fall or to roll, tumbling down, not coming gradually or step by step, tumbling down, all of a sudden coming from rolling from the upwards. Now, flared up, to burn brightly again or to become more intense suddenly. A sudden instant, it flared up, not step by step. Okay, it flared up, burn very brightly again and again, so fast. Now, children, frantic. Here I have some words in this. Frantic, in state of panic, worry, or rush. Panic, in state of panic means as in mad with such sort of fear, maybe with anger. If you go here and there, there's a great commotion. That is called frantic. Worry, you are in a worry, don't know what to do. And then
Ramadevi
hurry.
ma'am, time up.
Okay, ma'am. Now, children, you take a, short of this, and then you can read all these things. But before conclusion, I want to say one more thing. You have to do project work for today, and then what to do? Already I told you, conversation you have to build up. I will be asking you in our next session, which is on 10th. Then speaking skills will be focused on that day, totally only speaking. If you are interested in spoken English, then here is your opportunity to do all those things. Children, I thank you so much for bearing with me all this time. Thank you so much, sir. See you all again. Bye bye, children.